Now, I don't know when the last time you did this, but there was a time in your life when you had leotards on your head, and you wish, you had long hair. Talk about that. 'Cause I feel like we've really progressed.
That's crazy that you know that.
I'm not gonna say when that was, but there was that time for you. Tell us about that time in your life when.
All right, I'm going to keep it a buck, honestly. Like, there's a few things that I used to do. So I definitely used to do that because I was like, I want to have long hair.
Mm-hmm.
I used to stuff my chest with socks because I was like, I'm going to have jugs.
Mm-hmm.
One of those things happened, one didn't. It is what it is.
Manifestation. Shout out mama. Yeah. Here in The Cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. My name is Adriel Smiley, aka AdrielSmiley.com, aka Adriel Smiley Official, aka The Godfather. Now here on In The Cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. Now today we have Omega Mighty, her first time on the show, playing some games with her stomach with this flavor, but tell the people, the flavor you chose and how you feel your chances are of making it all the way to the end.
Yeah, I'm feeling like the chances are slightly slim because I didn't understand the whole concept in that I had to finish this. And I am lactose intolerant, but we chose strawberry cheesecake because it's really, really tasty.
Mm-hmm.
But I really should have got something vegan.
100%. 100%.
But I'm going to be accountable for my own actions today.
You heard it here first. Accountable for her own actions. 1 minute into the podcast. We're off to a good start. Now, of course, we got to start all the way at the beginning, but I want to go back a couple of years to me and Euphoria. That was like your coming out, so to speak. Like that was like
that was my debut.
Yeah, that was like you entering into the big time. How was that doing that during the pandemic? I've always thought about that because if you're like an artist, this is like your coming out party, and it's a very different time than we're used to. So how was that?
It was kind of wild because like the creation process was very much hybrid, but much less hybrid. It was pretty much actually no, it wasn't hybrid. That's a lie. It was remote.
Yeah.
So I had some experience engineering and doing some stuff. But I hadn't done it for a while. So I was like relearning a lot of stuff and relearning new software because this time I was like using Ableton. All my sessions with my mixing engineer was like over Zoom. So it would take hours sometimes because it's glitching because the session's so big.
Yep.
And we just trying to get through it. So it was tough. But we made it happen because I was like, no, I'm finna drop music. I don't care. Like that's where I was at.
This is coming out. This is coming out.
And then we did a release party. So that was even more interesting because it was like, I felt so weird being like, fam, if you're not vaxxed, you can't come and stuff. So I was kind of like, but I had to do that because regulations were such that, finally things opened up, but there were stipulations. So it was different time, but we made it work.
Yeah. I always think about that because especially the creation process, like the collaboration, being in the room with someone is like half of the magic,
100%.
And so it's like, obviously you still love the music you made and you still put the time into it, but it's like made with a different energy, if that makes any sense.
100%. Yeah, it's made with very isolated energy. Like that's number one. So you definitely didn't get the like true collaboration. And I like to write by myself anyway, but there's something to be said sometimes when you're in a recording session and you have, your people with you, like even just like to give you notes about how to cut that one line differently. So yeah, it was definitely a different process. I would prefer being in person or a hybrid model where I'm able to like, flesh things out on my own first and then come together when I feel like a little bit more ready about it,
Yeah. It's tough. Like anyone who put the music on, I'm like, listen, I'm just proud of y'all even putting the music. Especially because it was a depressing time too. Like, I remember I had a couple months left on my lease and I was like one of those COVID truthers. Like I saw the writing on the wall months ahead. And I used to get in arguments with people and they're like, this is not that deep. It's going to blow over. I said, fam, we're going to be inside for a very long time. And seeing everyone go through that and like, okay, we're still inside. Okay, we're still inside.
Like the first 2 weeks was kind of lit because you're like, this is
around the fam.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After that, I was kind of like, all right, so we still inside?
Yep.
Oh, you can't visit your family. Oh, to go to get groceries, it's like a lineup. Yeah,
crazy. It was end of the world type stuff. So yeah, anyone putting music at that time, I was like, yo, listen, I'm just happy you did it because
thank you.
It was not easy. Now, I don't know when's the last time you did this, but there was a time in your life when you had leotards on your head and you wished that you had long hair. Talk about that. 'Cause I feel like we've really progressed.
That's from crazy that time. You know that.
I'm not gonna say when that was, but there was that time for you. Tell us about that time in your life when.
All right, I'm going to keep it a buck. Honestly, like there's a few things that I used to do. So I definitely used to do that because I was like, I want to have long hair. Mm-hmm. I used to stuff my chest with socks. So I was like, I'm gonna have jugs. Mm-hmm. One of those things happened, one didn't. It is what it is.
Manifestation. Shout out mama. Yeah.
So yeah. To this day, like I just love long hair. Mm-hmm. That was my era of learning how to use it when I finally get it.
I can just picture you with the leotard on your head, and because the thing has the elastic, you gotta do the.
Yep, but the two legs is just.
Oh my gosh,
it's crazy.
Nah, I would pay good money for that home footage.
Who outed me?
But you came up in a musical family. I think that's so interesting because I work in music, and my family is almost the opposite.
Oh, for
family. Real. So someone grew up in a musical family. I think that's kind of like a privilege in a sense. Your sister playing piano. What was that like seeing that? Because that had to be some kind of.
So one, it was a mandate. You didn't have a choice. So first, I started when I was 4 years old. Mm-hmm. Every weekend, we're at music school. Parents would drop us off. We wouldn't see them for hours. They'd come back and pick us up. That's what it was.
No choice.
In between that, I'm practicing, and practicing. And we're competing too. Like it's not even just recreational. So it's very serious. And what I learned so much from that too at that time was that we didn't have money to actually pay for the lessons. Mm-hmm. So we basically had to win at competition in order to get the sponsorships to continue to take the classes. So we just kind of knew it was like survival. That's just what it is.
Do or die.
Do or die, fam, from when we were young. And honestly, like for me, the challenge was I have a good ear. But when it came to the theory, sometimes I'd be a little lazy. I'm not wanting to read and stuff. So because my other sister was like, and is like the piano genius, I'd just be like, okay, what's this part? What's that part? And I would just use my ear to like, I used to get in trouble sometimes because it'd be like, that's not exactly what it is. Like, it's cool what you did, but that's not exactly what's written. I still do that.
On your drumline type stuff.
Yeah, I'm still like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that always gets some people. You guys didn't have a choice, so that's why you stayed in. But like even when I used to play keys, it's like the reading music, the theory part of it, I was like, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Like
you have to love the theory part, right? Like and my elder sister loves that part too. And that's why, she's so much more well-rounded in that way. But for me, I'm like, and shout out to the kids and the parents that let me teach their kids like beginner piano. If you're listening to this,
shout out to them.
Shout out to them. But yeah, like for real, honestly, like theory is a different ball game, you know. And I appreciate having the chance to learn what I did learn and know what I do know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just like to use my ear. Yeah.
So what about the dancing part? Because I would say, and this is no shot to anyone, but I say you're probably like top 3 dancers like making music in Toronto. Like people who just dance, you guys can be in your own category, but anyone who's on the mic and dancing, not many competing with you. Everyone knows that. I'm not breaking news here.
Okay, cool. I'm accepting that. Like I'm willfully thank you. The dancing thing. So let me say, started piano when I was 4, and then I started taking vocal lessons when I was 6. That's the same school. And then my mom was always saying that I would take her high heels and I would just start making these rhythm with my feet and just marking up her floor. And she was like, I can't take this anymore. So she put me in tap dance.
Yep.
My first love of dance. I still love tap. I still have my shoes to this day. And I think that's like why I connect so much with like rhythm in that way. So yeah, like I was kind of a street kid. Like again, the money really wasn't there. When you come up, it's hard times. And so I started dancing like in street crews and whatever. There's a lot of self-taught stuff. Eventually, because what was I was just taking tap. That was the only thing that really we could afford. But all the other kids, they were dancing from they were like 2.
Yeah.
They were flexible to the point that, You feel me?
Yep.
And then they took every class. Like I was in one. They took every class. So sometimes like you'd be sitting there, like even as a 9-year-old, I'd be like, damn, like I'm so far behind. I remember thinking that. And by the time I was like in high school, I think I started taking hip hop competitively. And when you start taking these things competitively and not recreationally, there's a mandate that you have to take the foundational class, which is ballet. And I'm like, y'all must be wild. I'm not a ballerina at all.
Bust up.
So I started taking ballet, and they put me with the seniors, like the girls that literally have been doing it since they were 2, and they're like at a very high level. So I was like such a beginner, but it taught me so much how to push and how to like understand how to really use my body. And, you know, then you start doing that and you're singing at the same time, and like you got to practice. That's all I can say.
Yeah, it's a discipline. It's a discipline.
100%.
Yeah, it's like those one of the things you can't do it if you don't really want to. Like you can't.
Because why would you suffer yourself through that if you don't want to?
Like, and the thing you said about being late at 9, like I know exactly what you're talking about, because when I started playing piano, I started, and it's crazy to think you could be late at something at 9 years. So you ain't even double digits yet, and it's like you could really be. I'm late. They have years of experience, hundreds and thousands of hours ahead of me. So.
Literally.
Yeah, it's a crazy way to feel at such a young age. But I always think of, you know, your like classical training in terms of your music, because I always feel like it's such a unique mix, you know. It's like anyone from any genre can learn to play, you know, but it is such a unique mix because I don't think someone would think that, you know, off rip, you know, just hearing your music. So is there like a moment you think of where someone was like surprised by how much you knew, like working with someone? Because I do think there is this perception with certain artists or certain genres that they might not know as much technically, and they're just a performer. So, you know, there was a time where you work with someone, they were kind of surprised, like, oh, you know more than I thought.
Honestly, in general, like especially because it's like R&B dancehall, I think in general, and also like I'm not on the piano every day, so a lot of people don't see that side of me. So I feel like in general, people don't necessarily know that I'm classically trained, and I probably don't talk the talk as much as I should. But I mean, honestly, I think one of those things is like when people feel like, yo, you just popped up and you're just doing it one day. No, I've been doing it my whole life, and the reason why I'm good already, so to speak, is because I have been training my whole life. That's just what it is.
And that's what I always think about, is like, this is not, you know, the 10,000 hour rule. This is like the time is there.
Lifetime, bro.
The time is there. This is a quote you had about this project, and I want to hear you say something about this. You said, I really want to promote the unseen, the unheard, and disrupt the status quo of popular styles of music by showing that mainstream music can be multi-genre. It can have powerful messaging, and it can be heavily influenced by culture. Is there a song or something that was on your mind when you said that?
Yeah, like the leading single for the project is Rush Them, and I feel like it's a song, when I wrote it, I was like, I don't know who's going to understand this. I don't know who's going to receive this. It's that break between my, you know, proper English and my pato. And I was like, I don't know who's going to get this. But, you know, funny enough, it's been received so well, and like from many different cultures. And that's kind of the thing. That is not going to be your standard, quote unquote, pop music.
Exactly,
but it fits. Like, and it's been added to so many cool playlists that, you know, side by side with some of those really popular songs. So I'm just kind of like, why do we box ourselves in and not try the different things? Like, this is who I am, actually. Like, if I want to try and make music that's more whatever mainstream, like it's not really my personality. And so I have to go with what makes sense. So I want to promote other people like me, you know?
I think too, I've always said this, especially about dancehall and reggae. I feel like because it's natural to us, we sometimes underrate it. And it's just like
so much.
It's so regular to us. We're so used to it. And I always say, you know, dancehall is probably the music that you can get a crowd to dance to without knowing any other words. They don't even know what language this is in. and they will be going ham and dancing. And then I think as well, when you mix the styles, like the influence of Jamaican culture on music, super underrated. I've been preaching that all year, especially with the history of hip hop happening, that it's like our influence on the culture is huge. And so I love to see you mix all these things together because you just seen the other way of like you're adding dancehall to the pop, and I always look at it the other way around. It's like, no, we were here first, like
fam.
you know, like,
yeah, no, 100%.
So I like to see that, a lot in terms of, it's kind of you're showing people what you said you want to show them, but they don't have to understand how you explain it to get it. And I like that a lot. I realize
that. Thank you. Yeah, no, I realize that. That's also something to be said about a vibe, right? Like right now, Afrobeats is taking off. Like, let's be honest. Do you really know what Burna's saying most of the time? No. Like,
does Burna know what Burna's saying?
You know what I mean? Like, we definitely don't speak or pigeon or any of those things. It's the vibe, though, and I think that's first and foremost. Yeah. So as long as we keep the vibe, the music has to sound good, though. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Facts. When did you start with this project? Like, what was the first either idea or moment that really
solidified this project?
Yeah,
I think it would have to be Get Em. Yeah, it would have to be Get Em.
Okay, continue. I got some other questions.
Yeah. Get Em was the record. Like, first of all, when my boy Spencer sent me the beat, Tabu sent me the beat, and I was like, okay, the way the rhythm just sits, I'm just hearing how I could possibly flow on this. I'm hearing how somebody could, an American artist could like maybe rap on it, but I was hearing like how the Jamaican influence would really hit, but the drums and the pattern could still sit in like a bit of a hip hop and like, other styles. So I was like, this is gonna be me, because how I grew up is like that melting pot of my Jamaican culture and my Bayesian culture and the Toronto culture, just all of those things, and growing up on BET and American music, right? So I'm like, okay, when I cut the record, and just the response to that record was like, this is your sound. And I knew I unlocked something just different. So yeah, that was when I knew. Yeah,
Get Em was the one where I was like, and it's also makes sense that it was made a single because it does a good job representing the project. But Get Em to me is a song that I definitely would show someone if I wanted to be like, okay, this is what Omega sounds like. If you're trying to, see what the vibe is like, this is the one to send people. And I think that you do ride that line, but something that I think is, if it still feels like authentic dancehall. You know what I mean?
Like, I like that.
Like it could go in a dance hall set. Is that something that you think about? Because you're talking about it's in a bunch of other playlists. It can mix with kind of the mainstream pop. But I always think of like, if I put this song next to a Vibes Cartel and a Movado, is someone gonna just
listen? Spotify, if you guys are hearing this right now, just know that Dancehall Official needs Omega Mighty. That's all I'm saying. I understand. Obviously, I sit in a little bit of a different lane, so to speak. I'm not a yachty from I'm born and raised in Canada, but the influence did it. And we need to make sure. Listen,
tell them.
That's what we have to say. Right? This music is so diverse in that way. It belongs on your R&B playlist. It belongs on the dancehall playlist. It belongs all on your hip hop playlist. Like, that is the vibe. But the cultural influence, you won't be mistaken what it is.
Exactly.
And Vibes Cartel is literally, it's so funny you say that, because what people don't understand, when I found Vibes Cartel in my early 2000s, like, he is like hands down my favorite lyricist of all time.
He's untouchable. Like, you go on a whole Vibes talk. You just took me somewhere that's not like
listen.
I just thought about it. I said, don't even get me started. But Vibes to me is like the Eminem, Jay-Z. Like, he's right there. Like, he's right there. So him as someone who you look up to, that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Now there's this song at the end, Runaway. That is one of the songs that I've really been putting on repeat a couple times.
Okay.
And I'm not a dancehall in the gym type of guy, for sure. That's not my vibe. I'll probably play R&B in the gym before I play dancehall in the gym.
Okay.
But this song, I listened to the gym. I was like, this could make the playlist and be like the one or two dancehall songs, on my hip hop playlist. But why was that song at the end? Obviously, I think there's some themes in it that make a lot of sense, but why that song to be the outro of the project?
So there's something about, obviously, flow of a project too. So, in going through and selecting like how the project was going to flow, like, we wanted it to kind of start off and have a vibe, kind of mellow. So that's why we started with Shoreline, and then we wanted to pick up. There's a lot of, I'm a dancer, so there's a lot of dance records on there, but I didn't want to end on such a high note. And I also wanted to just remind people, like, I'd be in my R&B bag too. So Runaway just felt like it needed to be the close of the project. It was going to leave you off with some strong vocals. It was going to leave you off with something to think about, something to relate to relationship wise. And it was still going to give you that culture. Like, it was going to be the perfect blend, 100%. When I say I'm an R&B dancehall fusion artist, Runaway was going to be the song that reminded you exactly what that means and what that sounds like.
Yeah, that blend, I think, on Runaway, because you're leading with vocals. You know, there's some songs where I would say you're more rapping than 100%, singing, you know? And then on Runaway, you're like, it's like a reminder. You know what I mean? It's almost like, oh, wait. She can sing. Wait, I forgot she can sing. You know what I mean? So I like that at the end to be that. And you talked about having a tone of the project, you know, starting out a certain way, ending a certain way. What activity do you put with this project? I always say, like, some albums have, like, they're a soundtrack to a certain thing. You know, like, my favorite album is Voodoo by D'Angelo.
Okay.
And that's like, your house is getting clean. Like,
top to bottom.
Spotless with that album. So is there like an activity that you put with this project?
Let me think about it. It's not going to be cleaning because you're going to be moving way too much. Like, you're definitely going to be dancing at this one. So, but this could definitely be like the girls' night album where y'all are vibing.
For the pre.
You know what I mean? Or if you feel like you want to cook up something nice and spicy, like, that would probably be the activities I could see with this. Obviously, like, Runaway might give you a bit of meditation, but with rhythm. You know what I mean? So, exactly. There's always a little something there, but I think those would probably be the main activities.
Yeah, I like that. I think the cooking one is especially, like, that's like, I do the most dancing in my kitchen. Like, that is, I don't know how that works, but the most dance time is in my kitchen. And
you're going to make your food with love to this album. I promise you.
Oh my gosh. Every ounce of seasoning will come from the heart. Yep, 100%. Shoreline as the intro.
Yeah.
Because I think what you have with this project, and it's a good problem to have, but you have so many good songs that kind of stand out on their own, that where you're going to start the project kind of is really important, because you're a fusion artist. So Shoreline as the intro, what was the thought behind that?
Yeah, so definitely the thought behind that. Like, again, as I said, I'm R&B fusion, so I wanted people to understand on the onset of the project, especially people that might be just discovering me for the first time on any of the DSPs, that's what the blend really sounds like. Because I think there are some other songs where it might be more dancehall led, but that true fusion, you have to understand I'm a vocalist. You have to understand, but I also get in my little rap bag a little bit. And also that, like, songwriting is something that is really important to me, right? Lyrics and painting a picture and a story. So Shoreline was really going to be that one that's going to connect with you. You're going to think about whatever love interest you previously had, currently have.
Yes.
That feeling of just drifting away because that love is so strong. It's just so amazing. You just want to close your eyes and just drift off somewhere into the ocean. Like, that was going to be the vibe. And we started that project with the ocean waves. It just gave me, also it made me feel like I needed to be in the Caribbean somewhere, you know?
Get me out of here.
Get me out of here.
You have this ad-lib a couple times. That when I heard that ad-lib, I was like, what is going on here? Like, as much as I love it, it just really, really caught me off guard. Obviously, it got me hyped because, you know, like, we're Jamaicans, you hear gunshots. But talk about that being one of your ad-libs, because I don't think that your image gives off.
Okay, you guys would be really surprised. Like, I might look like this dainty look. Like, I'm telling you guys, if you have to come to my live show, then you will understand.
I've seen you live.
Okay, so then you'll understand.
No, I know how you get down, but that's me. You know, I don't think people think Omega Mighty and think of...
They have to just get to know me. Honest, they have to get to know me. Why? Like, I always say this, I have, my whole life, have lived in two different worlds. So that's what I am made of. Like, growing up, raised in Canada here, under, you know, in a Caribbean household, in a Rasta household, I've always had to live two different lives. That's just period, point blank, right?
I get it.
So you go into the office, you have to be one way. At home with your people, you're a different way. And you get that sauce when I come on stage. You're going to get a little bit of Omega Mighty, but you're going to get a little bit of Dreddy. And Dreddy, trust me, Dreddy is the dancer. Dreddy is the grrr all day. Like, you're going to see me sometimes just dainty, and the next day you're going to see me in my tomboy clothes. So that's really who I am. Like, we are multi-layered, and we're allowed to be. So, you know, I'm also encouraging women to embrace that side of them. You don't always have to be one way. Like people might see you in a long skirt one day and tomorrow you can be in your ball shorts. Like it's really okay. You know? Yeah.
I think that's a good point. I think we're getting better at allowing, you know, or feeling like women can just wear that kind of stuff. But I do think there is a certain type of person, we're not going to name names, but we know what side of the algorithm you're on, who I think doesn't feel that way. You had this quote saying, my goal is to collaborate with other powerful Black women and women of color. Obviously, you did that.
Yeah.
Why was that something that's important to you?
It's important to me because we are the underdogs. Like we don't get the opportunities. So wherever I'm able to showcase that and uplift my community and just bring more awareness to what it is that I'm doing collectively with my community, I'm going to be championing that. Like it's more, for me, it's a mission, to be honest, right? Like when you listen to my music, you're going to get so much female, but also Black female empowerment, Black empowerment. And it doesn't make sense for me not to walk the walk at the end of the day. So yeah, that's really important to me. And I feel like our community, like we've been engineered to be separated. That's the fact, right?
Facts.
We have been engineered to be separated. And so the only way we're going to ever be able to unify is by taking serious action to do that. And like you might think it's something small, or an artist might think it's something small, but when you take, you know, an action to say, I'm going to collaborate with this other powerful Black woman, I'm going to remove any ego, and I'm going to make sure that we do this thing and show the world what we got together. It really does something for the culture and pushes forward your nation as a collective. And so that's something I'm not going to stop doing. Yeah.
I think it's imperative. I feel like Black women are so undervalued, but at the same time, to me, are the most valuable. We have this thing we say on the Album Mode podcast. It's like, if you have Black woman support, you can't lose.
Facts.
You know? And it's like, that has rung true since we started seeing it up until now. But the way they treat Black women doesn't reflect that. And so it's like, I feel like that power imbalance is absolutely wrong, because that's all anyone is trying to do is, you know, get the love of Black women, convince Black women this is cool.
Literally.
And Black women are the ones who are deciding what's hot, what's cool.
Every trend. We are the trendsetters, but we are left out of the trend some weird way. But it's up to us to also just like reclaim our power in the best way we know how. And some of that honestly is just like challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
When I first started coming up in music, the dread thing, the having locks thing.
Not a thing. Not a thing,
right? Even just me twanging, absolutely not a thing. Like, okay, not a thing. I remember doing this audition and singing Job Care's Longing For.
Oh my god.
And I just remember the judges being like, what?
Wow.
Is she saying? Like, you know what I mean?
That's crazy.
And so this is me dating back all 15 years. I'm not going to tell you I'm an itch, but yeah, you know what I'm saying? And so at that time, I was ahead of my time, but I didn't know. And I didn't trust myself to continue moving. I was writing like the kind of music I'm writing now to some of the dancehall rhythms that were really popular then, but you know, having that R&B and dancehall flavor. But I couldn't trust myself to release it because I felt like no one would understand.
I think what you said is huge about like trusting yourself.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is the biggest thing that holds a lot of people back. It's
Facts.
like, you could be right, but do you feel like you're right? Are you questioning it because someone else is doing it a different way?
Yeah.
And what I always say is like, people underestimate how many times someone's going to be the first to do something. And I think the bigger someone gets, more talented someone is, we always take it for granted. And
That's true.
You know, I go to hip hop and say, look at Drake. Drake is the first Drake. As much as there's, you know, influences from other places, there's never been a Drake before. Kendrick, Drake, all these guys are the first of their style of doing
100%.
things. And so I like to hear about that, you know, that kind of self-love, self-confidence of like, how I'm doing it is going to be the first person to do it like me.
That's it. And honestly, when you think about it, like there is probably so many similarities with any two artists, but there's always a difference. There's something about you that is different. And
100%.
Once you unlock it and trust yourself to just do it, that's it. Right? Because you're going to have too many naysayers. And the reason why is because people do need to stop you, right? It's intimidating to many people for you to even do something that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
So there's going to be the people that are like, you're not a real R&B singer. And there's going to be people that are like, you're not a real Yachty. Like, what are you... do your thing at the end of the day, because there are people that are going to love you for it. And if it feels good to you, it's good.
Yep. Well, listen, go back to the thing. People say they hated Jesus. It's like, hated someone for saving lives is crazy.
And now it's like, y'all just want to wear crosses for a trend,
So yeah, it is what it is, but I'm happy to hear that. Now, this next question, and I'm making sure I'm saying when for this, because we're here, we're all about manifesting, speaking things into existence.
Yeah.
So when people get $100 million, they get an exotic animal. I don't make the rules. That's just what happens. Michael Jackson with his monkey, Justin Bieber with his monkey, Mike Tyson with his tiger. It's a thing that happens.
Okay.
So when you get to that $100 million level.
Yeah, and I love that you said that. Mm-hmm.
What animal are you going to be bringing into your life?
It has to be a Black Panther.
Ooh.
It just has to be.
That's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's obvious reasons.
Obvious reasons, but since I was a kid, I watched this Black Panther movie. And it was like a real Black Panther that was like terrorizing, and I was like, I'm gonna have one of these.
Like I'm into that. That's crazy, man. I always think about some of these cats that are like huge,
scary,
and terrifying. Terrifying.
Like I'll have it in another separate cage. And I don't know, but
it's like I may only have it for a week, but I'll have it. you know,
or I'll have it on set, whatever.
Yeah, I always think about that. Some of these cats and the people who are like, "Oh, this is my pet, my friend." Did you see the guy who tried to bring his alligator to the baseball game?
I didn't even see that. I saw some next one where he got caught, but
it was an emotional support alligator.
There's no such thing.
That's what I said. And there's videos of this alligator in the pool with kids. They're rolling on the alligator's back. They're putting their hands in the alligator's mouth.
Y'all play too much.
No,
entirely too much.
You can guess the complexion of these people. You can do the math on that. But it reminds me of, there was a woman who said she had a chimp as her best friend. And she's like, this is my pet chimp, my best friend. And eventually the chimp tried to rip her face off.
That's what I was going to say. Like, chimps are not... Don't get me wrong. Black Panthers are not. I'm well aware. I'm well aware. But I won't have it just in my house. Like I've seen people have these pet pigs, all kind of stuff. It's like oink oink in my living room. Y'all are wild.
No, thank you. No swine in my living room, please, please. This next one, I'm excited to hear you answer this question because this one I feel like says a lot about how people are, who people are. They say the top 5 people in your life help you be you. They represent who you are, how you behave, and ultimately help decide your future. So who are the 5 people in your life who help you be yourself? Now, it doesn't have to be 5. It could be 2. It could be 1. It could be 10. But
okay, cool.
Who are those people?
So it's easy. So my manager and husband, Drew, he's here with me.
Big shout out, Drew.
It's my real dog. Like, need I say more? My family, my immediate family is, there's 6 of them. So it's like I'm already passing the threshold. Like I could not be here. I could not be doing what I'm doing. Like the support, how they've taught me eternal love, respect. Like, the list goes on. And that's, from my dad to Havaya to my sister Alicia, like just all of them. My bro, Ski, love them to death. Like family is one thing I don't play about. Y'all know. I would have to say also like my extended family, my in-laws, but also my frienddom. Like honestly, my frienddom, they go hard for me. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't mean just like my acquaintance. I'm like a frienddom, a dogdom. Like they really go hard, and I like this is beyond like just coming to my show or buying a ticket. This is I'm in a real life crisis. I can call you and talk to you, and we can do this privately, and it can never leave here. But like true support, and that's. You know what I mean? Vice versa. So, that's how I feel. And also everybody I just have to say this because everybody that's been listening to my music, when I thought nobody would understand what I'm saying, and you guys, I see sometimes you guys are just like randomly creating content to some of my songs. Like that to me is wild. Or when you tell me that, like you connected because you also were feeling shame as a woman, and you really connected with me because you saw my post, and like that stuff is honestly wild to me and crazy to me. Like there are real life connections that we make in social media. I know people like to play about it, but like social media is actually a real thing where you've created like real connections that are true friendships. Yeah.
That's love.
Real love.
No, and they mean the world. Like I love this question because, who is around you is a big part of how your life is going to be, who you are, what you're going to think, how you're going to view things. And I always wonder, like, what is that circle around you really like? You know, there's obviously your work circle, but it's like, what's the real circle really like?
It's really intimate. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not as much as like I'm animated on stage and stuff. I really like my me time. So I'm not really sure what I am. I think I might be an introvert and an extrovert when I'm activated. I don't know, but
when you're activated, I like that.
Yeah. But my circle is small. Honestly, I am kind of like a no new friends person. It's not nice. Like I know it's not great, but I'm kind of like that just because like I don't trust. If you listen to Mankind, you already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm a no new friends person too. Like new friends are overrated, man. Like very.
What's your motive?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And you know how this is horrible to say, but it's like you have to earn your keep. You know, it's like. I have friends I've known for decades. That's not singular.
No,
plural,
literally.
You know, and so if you're the new friend who I met 6 months ago, you got some time to put in.
You got time to put in. You got to show me like you really did it for the right reasons. Like, yeah,
100%. So that's a very important one. This is our last one.
Oh my God! Already?
I know.
I did not do well, huh? That's crazy.
Let's see how what not well looks like.
Like here's the thing, it's like melting as well. So it's kind of like
it's kind of soupy.
It's a bit soupy. So like y'all have to give me a bly, I think. But I'm gonna put this in the freezer and then we're gonna like
try again.
Yeah.
So here's what we'll do next time. Where there will be a next time.
There will be.
We're gonna get you the vegan flavor.
Okay.
And Drew, can I get a confirmation Drew's gonna sit with you?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna have
this guy's a sweet tooth. So
we're gonna have y'all together, and that's the plan. Okay, so I'm giving y'all the cheat code right now.
Okay, cool.
Listen, I had a few Drew questions because y'all are one of my favorite couples. Even I don't know y'all like that. Y'all.
You do now though.
No, but y'all one of my favorite couples, even from afar. But we'll get into that next time. Okay. Once Drew's really tapped into this challenge, because that's the only way to win. If we're being honest.
No, that makes sense.
You need some help.
I do need some help. I'm sorry, y'all. I let y'all down.
You know, you didn't let anyone down. You said you held accountability from the top.
I did, and honestly, I don't want to be stuck in the toilet for hours and hours. So it's better I just like cut it off.
Tummy twerking.
Twist up and bend up.
Before we get to the last question, on a different note, I meant to ask you about the actual title of the album, Notorious and Noble. It's giving very regal.
100%.
And why I like that is this is just me, but my pops is a pastor. My family's also Jamaican, and we've always called ourselves the superstar family. And anyone who knows my mom, my dad, like I'm just trying to keep up. Like they're over there killing it. They're killing it. And I've always felt like I've been part of a royal family.
You are. Just
because of how my parents are. You know, regardless of what it is, I just always felt like that. So when I heard Notorious and Noble, I was kind of like, this gives more that energy of like. It feels more regal, more royal, and have more of a feeling about yourself. Why did you choose that title?
So first and foremost, the album does reflect on a lot of my personal experiences. Just me feeling very lost. And I don't mean in the sense of like, really it's identity. And I don't want to say it's like an identity crisis, but I was like, exactly who am I and how do I fit in this world? Because I always just feel like, honestly, I'm on a next planet. Like I don't feel like I belong here. But then I understood me feeling lost when I finally visited Africa for the first time last year. Well, no wonder you feel lost because you were taken from your homeland. Of course you're lost. So when I really started to just delve into my personal experiences and also like uncovering layers and understanding like a lot of this is generational, a lot of this is engineered. There's so much of this you don't necessarily have control over. What you can do now is try to learn as much as you can and find about this truth. But you have to remember that when you are faced with whatever it is, not feeling like you fit in or being told, you're not going to get the part because of your race, or they're not going to tell you that, but you know what it is. Yeah, you know what time it is. You know what type of time you're on. That you have to remind yourself you are a king, you are a queen. So this album really was to remind all my Black kings and queens that is truly what you are, despite the fact that you are going to get this notorious connotation attributed to you just because of how you look. I can't tell you how many times I've been told like, yo, I thought you were so mean before I got to know you. Or like, you know what I mean? I get a bad rap all the time just because of how I look. I look fierce or whatever the words are.
Whatever word you want to choose.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So Notorious and Noble, title of this project was really just to remind you can live in these two different worlds and you don't necessarily have the control over how society might view you, but you definitely have the control over how you carry yourself and how you view yourself.
I think that's a huge message, especially being Black in Toronto. I think there's this whole juxtaposition of how you're viewed over here to how you're viewed over here. I think like, especially being Black in this city, you're not going to be viewed the same in every neighborhood, you know, everywhere
Absolutely
you go.
Not.
And
I'm whitewashed to some people.
I was going to say, I grew up in Scarborough where they were like, why you talk so white? Why you so this? And then I moved to Durham and they said, why are you so Black? And I said, y'all need to make up your minds. Which one is it?
And me, I'm going to do what I need to do on that day and how I feel. And to be honest, like, guys, being educated, I need to remind you, being educated is such a plus. Like you don't want to not be to fit a stereotype of Blackness. That doesn't make sense, right? So
it's backwards.
But you don't want to not be tapped into your culture. Like this is what it is, and everybody should feel empowered to be multi-layered. I should be able to walk into a corporate interview and slay it because my English is this. And also you're going to hear my music and hear how bad I chat with my patois. Like there is nothing wrong with that. And I want people to like own that because all the other cultures, they do that effortlessly. And they are, encouraged and raised on learning their languages through and through. And at the same time, they're landing all the corporate gigs and their English is impeccable. And so many people are like multilingual. And why are we not embracing that?
You don't have to choose one. I think that's what I saw a lot growing up. Like I played ball and all dudes I played ball with. It's almost like you didn't want to be seen as smart. You know, like it's like being smart made you uncool, which is
like it's so cool,
which is crazy because it's very cool to be smart.
It's very cool, but and also you'll get that bread, fam. Like
you know what I mean. So it is like there is a bit of that in that community of like you have to choose of like either I'm going to be seen as intelligent or I'm going to be seen as cool. And it's like, I think being cool is not as cool as people say it is, you know? Like being smart and talented and confident, those are the things that are cool. So I'm happy that you said that because people don't always verbalize it like that and it's a different conversation. And I'm happy we got to clear things up today.
Me too.
If you don't get anything else from this podcast, please make sure you get that. But let's get to our final question. We have this segment on the radio show called Wednesday Wisdom. We look for a motivational quote or saying either you remind yourself of or the people around you.
Okay.
So what's that quote for you that is kind of always going through your head?
The quote that's always going through my head. Let me have a thinky.
Go for it. Drew, do you have any suggestions? Something you hear often?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, facts.
Wait,
Super facts.
Drew said hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Yeah.
One of the best.
100. And he knows what time it is. There's something I was going through my threads the other day and I realized, I made this post. I was going through a really rough time. But it's so funny. I pulled out this same quote when I was going through a really great time. And it was, God doesn't play with his timing. Remember that. And I was so humbled by that message in two different moments because that's just what it is. Sometimes you want something so bad, but the timing is just not right. And you have to trust the Most High and trust that things will come to be when the timing is right. And on the flip side, a month later, when I'm like, today I was featured as, it was my first ever receiving a Spotify cover, like so cool. And I saw that same quote that I had used at a different time. And I was like, you see how that applies? You see how that applies because sometimes you can't rush life.
Can't.
Yeah.
Everything in God's time, man.
That's it.
Everything in God's time. I like that we end on that note. Something I've been trying to say myself and manifest is I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Right where you're supposed to be.
A lot of times it feels, you have that itch. You're like, how come I'm not
doing more?
How come I'm not? And just that calm and comfort of I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
Right where you're supposed to be. This is amazing, by the way. This is a really dope platform.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I like to highlight a lot of these positive messages because I feel like what I'm seeing and hearing a lot is a lot of people feeling inadequate about themselves. And where that comes from, everyone is different, but I think that we can kind of supplement that inadequacy with a feeling of comfort in yourself, you know, that you're good enough, you're strong enough, you're talented enough. So I'm happy that you came here and brought that energy here.
100%. I think people need to hear it. That's the reason why a lot of people have those feelings, because they don't hear it.
Yeah.
They might not be told it, you know, by their whoever, their guardian, whatever the case, their friends, right? Your friends need to tell you you are enough. You're causing them. Like, people need to remind you that you are great, and vice versa. Everybody is looking for, it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So everybody has certain needs, and that acceptance is important. Like, no matter how people try to be like, yo, I don't care, eh? Of course they do.
Super care.
You super care, right? So at the end of the day, that's all anybody ever wants and wants to hear. And like, the truth is, you are literally enough.
Yeah.
You are literally enough. So when I do my shows and I bring girls on stage to just come and kill, get it. I don't care if you're a dancer or not. You're going to get on the stage and you're going to do it. Because you are enough, fam.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, this is so wholesome. So lovely. I'm sure that the next time, once we bring Drew here, will be just as wholesome.
It will. And I will actually win this challenge of eating this ice cream.
I want to thank everyone for making it to the end of this podcast. Please get your life right. Notorious and Noble is out right now on all your streaming platforms. You said that this is something you could cook to.
Yep.
I'm saying it's something you could work out to.
Cool. I like it.
I'm adding that.
100% actually. Dancehall workout playlist. Like, it's a super thing. Plus, we have Bad Girl Workout. That's track number 6.
Come on, do the math. So if you're trying to get your fitness right, this is one of the albums you can do that to. If you're new to the In the Cut podcast, please find us on all your podcast platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Leave us a rating and a review, 5 stars, not a single star less. Of course, find us on the interwebs at The Cool Table Live on Instagram and at The Cool Table Live on YouTube. Of course, until next time, cancel canceling, bring back bullying, know yourself, know your worth.